Today I want to talk about the SEC, recapping and talk about LSU and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. So today, I want to take a look at the SEC, talk about the ramifications of Saturday and what the SEC championship game is going to teach us and who's going to play in it. But let's go through it. Georgia Vanderbilt got called off because Vanderbilt got, spaded to COVID. Greg McGarity going to get out there talking about, I'm getting upset about this because Georgia, we have this under control. Yeah, man, it's Vanderbilt. Don't nobody want to see y'all beat up on Vanderbilt. Y'all just want the game, and I understand you want to play, and you also want television money, but they ain't got no head coach, and they're one of the worst teams in all of football. You're probably going to get to make that game up anyway. You're 6-2. You had opportunities to knock off two teams that have an opportunity to play in the college football playoff. Couldn't get it done because you refused to play JT Daniels from the jump, or he was hurt, and you couldn't play him from the jump. Either way, you didn't have a capable quarterback against the teams that you positively, absolutely needed to win for us to consider you as a contender. And now Coastal Carolina ought to jump you in the rankings because they beat up on a ranked Brigham Young, and they are undefeated. Chanticleers on the way up. Look, South Carolina, Kentucky, wow. 41-18, Kentucky wins this game. They go to 4-6. South Carolina falls to 2-8. South Carolina had 16 scholarship players available for this and no head coach until they got one late last night. OU offensive assistant Shane Beamer was announced as it was reported by Bruce Feldman that he is going to become the next head coach for South Carolina. I think good things are in store for the Gamecocks. Beamer is a great recruiter and a great dude. I found it interesting that the reason that Kirby Smart wasn't actually that upset to watch him leave Georgia following the Rose Bowl is because he didn't think he was that great a recruiter, is the scuttle. When at Oklahoma, all was done was he raved about as a recruiter and bringing in great dudes. So is it a case of the SEC is just a better recruiting conference or a tougher recruiting conference than the Big 12? Could be. But I also think that Beamer has an opportunity here to do the Dabo Sweeney and hire a couple of really great offensive coordinators, one offensive, one defensive, put together an outstanding staff and be that CEO head coach that knows the ins and outs of the game and focuses a bunch of his time on special teams where he is really remarkable, kind of like a John Harbaugh situation in Baltimore. So it'll get better for them. Kentucky, I still want y'all to be good. You need a quarterback. Terry Wilson was not it, right? You played most of the game last year with Lynn Bowden. They ever get a quarterback to play at Kentucky, I think with Mark Stoops, they have an opportunity to be really good at some point. We'll see. Missouri and Arkansas was a burner, man. 50-48. Mizzou gets this one. They go to 5-3. Arkansas drops to 3-6. Connor Bazelak, 32 of 49 for 380 yards for Mizzou. Larry Roundtree, 27 carries, 185, 3 touchdowns. Treylon Burks for Arkansas, 10 receptions for 206 yards. All of this without Felipe Franks. So KJ Jefferson was out there making it happen and spinning it. I've been very high on Arkansas. I'm also high on Missouri. I hope both of those teams are really good next year. They look like they have the ability to win 9 games in 21. Eli Drinkwitz, he's having himself a nice little career. Like start for Appalachian State. You're going to begin your career in the SEC with a 5-3 record in a conference-only schedule. Like, you're going to go out with a winning record long as he doesn't lose the next 2 games. The next 2 being his last one against an SEC opponent. And then, of course, the bowl game they'll play. So the worst they could do is 500. That's pretty good. Florida, 31-19 over Tennessee. They moved to 8-1. Kyle Trask goes for 433 yards, 35 of 49. And Kyle Pitts got 7 for 128. Now Florida gets an opportunity to beat up on LSU. Going to talk about that in a minute. And then they get Alabama in the SEC championship game. I think Kyle Trask is very much in front for the Heisman because of the way that other people are talking about him. Cool, if that's who you want to give it to. I understand he's been cooking people. I think Mac Jones is a great quarterback. I also think Justin Fields would be here if he had enough games under his belt. I also think that Trevor Lawrence would be there. He had enough games under his belt, but Devontae Smith probably should actually win this award based on how he has played this season. My God, between him and Kyle Pitts, I'd be fine with either one of those dudes winning the Heisman Trophy. Outstanding football players. And imagine, well, we'll get to that with Waddle and whatnot. Ampersand U needs to come from behind, score 17 in the fourth quarter to beat Auburn, drop Auburn at 5-4. Ampersand U is the number 5 team in the country. They have struggled against, well, bad football teams in Auburn and LSU the last couple of weeks. Kellen Mond did not look good, 18 to 23, 196, 2 TDs. Isaiah Spiller did look good back-to-back games with over 100 yards rushing, 141 against LSU, 120 against Auburn. Jalen Weidemeyer, 8 catches, 89 yards, 2 TDs. The way that people talk about Kyle Pitts is going to be the way that people talk about Jalen Weidemeyer here in the near future. Ampersand U probably has an opportunity to get into the playoff if some things break their way, but they need some help. And, of course, Alabama, 55-17, skull-dragging, molly-whopping of the LSU Tigers. Mac Jones, 20 of 28 for 385 yards, 4 touchdowns. Najee Harris, 21 carries, 145 yards, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 8 catches, 231 yards, 3 touchdowns. Imagine Alabama if they get Jalen Waddle back in time for the playoff. My God. Now, LSU. Your boy, that be me, told y'all was going to catch 5 L's in 2020. Y'all tried to eviscerate me in the comments, tried to tell me I didn't know what I was talking about, even dodged games. They said, no, you got to play Alabama. And Alabama ain't forgetting. Alabama rolled the tape on what Ed Orgeron said following the win in Tuscaloosa. Devontae Smith said, I ain't forget. Najee Harris said, I ain't forget. Dylan Moses is like, oh, okay, cool. I'm not playing that game? All right, watch this. Malachi Moore said, oh, yeah, I was committed. Watch this. And we got to see a 45-point stomping in the first half. Alabama went up 45-14. Like, Kayshon Boutte out there dropping the ball before he crosses the line. It gets recovered. They call it a touchdown, but that's the only time they score touchdowns at all. Like, 650 yards of offense Alabama put up on LSU. And late into the game, Nick Saban was still going for the jugular. Okay? We all like in the Bart Simpson comic talk about, stop, he's already dead. Like, that's where we at with that. Now you got opportunity to catch loss number 6. I dare y'all to go play a bowl game after that too. Y'all probably will, but I dare you to. Because I told you to go catch 5 losses. You tried to come at the king, and you missed. I take this thing called college football seriously when I'm saying what I believe based on the facts on the ground. You lost a ton. 34 players off the 2019 team. Jamar Chase opted out. Terrace Marshall was like, I'm not going to play in that Alabama game. What for? For what? For who? For what? You don't have a starting quarterback in Miles Brennan, and nobody predicted that, right? But I thought TJ Finley was actually going to be pretty good. I still think he can be pretty good. I don't know that Max Johnson's going to be the dude. And you had, some guys. Derek Stingley Jr., though, dude that I'm still very high on, right? And a guy that I put on my ballot for the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award last year as a freshman got worked. He got worked. But it also looked like the LSU players were like, man, why are we out here just getting destroyed by Alabama at our own house? Speaking of which, I put in my ballot for the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award. We'll see what the semifinalists look like. I'll share my ballot with you when those semifinalists come out. So that is the recap for the SEC. If you like the videos, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll talk to y'all in a couple hours. Deuces.